All right, so hey, what's going on, guys? It is your boy, of course, the combat consultant, the soundboard god, Jacob Koopman. How you guys all doing? I wanted to talk about the new UFC 5 trailer. It's looking sleek. It feels like a thing with every EA game each year. They have to add progressively more and more sweat to each character. I saw the cover of the game. I don't think that's it. But I was pleasantly surprised with the trailer that they released. I wanted to take a look at it now. So let's get into it. So that's what I talk about. So much sweat, just sweat to the nth degree. It's a weird, I don't think it's a fetishization. I think they just think that if you add more sweat to something, it looks realistic. To me, sure, you could probably make a case for that, but if you see most fighters, I'll put it up on the screen, you definitely see a little bit of sweat glistening, but it doesn't look like they're in a, I'll see like, the thing this reminds me of is like a Gatorade commercial, where they'll like slam the drink down on the thing, and it explodes with this like hydrophilic wave of water. That's the vibe that Israel Adesanya's back is giving me in this trailer. But so far, graphics look sick. The Frostbite engine, that's the engine that EA has always run with. To the best of my knowledge, I don't know when they made the switch. I'm trying to think. I remember because it was one of the Madden games. They announced it, and then FIFA kind of followed suit, and then all of EA's sports titles also did. But it's looking super duper slick so far. So off the bat, this is something, I'm not going to pause too much here. Off the bat, really enjoyed the striking. How it's looking. Now, we don't have a gameplay trailer yet. They did promise that they would send us something soon in the way of a gameplay trailer. I'd imagine it's probably going to be the next UFC event, because they've done that, I'm pretty sure, in the past with previous games. So like UFC 4, UFC 3. Obviously, Israel Adesanya is taking on Sean Strickland. As you can see, his most out-of-pocket moments there on the screen, as well as Jake and Josh. Go subscribe to that channel. I'm assuming we're going to get more content at that event. If this is anything close to the core gameplay we're getting, it looks like striking fluidity has kind of been overhauled. My biggest gripe with UFC 4 was that it kind of, from the knockdowns, we'll get into this in a second, there's another knockdown, where there's one knockdown in this trailer that I want to get into. The knockdowns, the striking, everything from A to Z, they all felt a little bit manufactured. It felt kind of soulless. There wasn't a lot there to make it feel like a real fight. I think what I enjoyed so much about UFC 4, it was that they did overhaul the striking. The striking was a lot more clean. There was a lot more ability that you could kind of throw in. So if you were a much more technical striker, it would favor your play style a lot. I know there was the knee and the elbow spammers, and online it's whole other, but I'm talking about just strictly for guys like me that like to have kind of technical striking stand-up wars. It was a welcome addition. But my whole thing again was just the fact that everything kind of felt hollow, even down to the movements, even down to the player models. And let me know if you guys agree down in the comment section below. I don't know if it was just me, but that's kind of the vibe that I got from the game. Was it's a simulation, but I feel like you shouldn't, obviously part of the appeal of a sports game is that it is at the end of the day a simulation. I just don't feel like I should feel like I'm playing a simulation, if that makes any sense. I should feel like I'm in a UFC fight, and that should be the simulation aspect. With UFC 4, it was like, okay, I'm playing a UFC simulated fight. Big head kick there. McGregor, Chandler going in for that big takedown. Thumps him. Great stuff. Shorts still look like dog doo-doo water. Terrible. Nice fluid. So everything looks more fluid. And last time I paused, probably not the last time, but everything looks way more fluid. That's one of the things I really enjoy about this is everything kind of just feels like it flows a lot more, man. And that's one of the things that I think a lot of fans are looking for in an MMA game. One of the biggest downsides against UFC 4 that I felt was that it wasn't fluid enough. And one of the biggest things, I think a lot of people will compare really commonly, really recent UFC titles to games like UFC Undisputed 3. Because of UFC Undisputed 3's depth, because of its fluidity. I mean, you look back, it's crazy that that's a more fluid and deep game than UFC 4, which was released 3 years ago. So that would have been 2020 now, I think. But that's insane, right? And I'm hoping, it seems like UFC 5 from the trailer, there's going to be I don't want to spoil anything, but there's going to be a doctor's, not a doctor's stoppage, but there's going to be a cutscene of a doctor checking in on Pereira's eye. Pereira's going to get dropped. It's going to look really fluid. So I'm hoping that they add, and from the looks of it, it looks like they have added a lot more fluidity and kind of just grace to this video game, because the sport is chaotic, but it's also flowy. That's one of the things I love so much about watching it. If you ever catch a guy like, let's just say, an Alexander Volkanovski, where he has such good inside boxing, he clears distance really well. What's another good example? A Yair Rodriguez, where he's flying through the air using Taekwondo combinations and moves. It's a thing of beauty to see. Israel Adesanya with his technical striking. All of these things beautiful, but when you take out the fluidity out of them, it doesn't have the same feeling. There's a cut, updated cut graphics. There it is. Dodger's taking a look at him, Herb Dean. Boom. Pereira's getting his ass kicked. And here's the drop. I thought you know what though? Like now that I see that, and I want to, maybe we can go over this in slow motion. I'm pretty sure I've seen this knockdown in past UFC games. Just wanna. Slips a head kick. Now that I'm seeing it, and I'm gonna bring it back to regular speed. Nice ground and pound too. I'm hoping that that's not an animation. Like, I think we should take a step away from animations and have it be nice finishing. Take a step away from animations and have it be much more. Again, I'm not a game developer, but you know, UFC 2 is always a really good example of, maybe they went too far with the ragdoll at certain points, but it's always a good example of, instead of using knockdown animations, I feel like a game can be so much better, feel so much more realistic when, let's just say you throw a nice cross hook head kick combination, right? And instead of just getting the same, and this is another thing that I didn't really like about 4 and 3, instead of getting the same animation for some guy getting hit with a head kick every single time, what UFC 2 did very well, and again, they kind of went overboard with it at some points. What UFC 2 did so well was there was a lot of variability, right, in the way that you caught guys. So it was just, I felt like it was a lot more smooth, and I hope that it probably is an animation the more I think about it, but I'm hoping that there's some sort of overhauled system to the way that this game handles knockdowns and things like that, where they maybe combine some of the good aspects from 4 and some of the really good aspects from 2. And they got the John Jones cameo coming in. And then, of course, Fedor Emelianenko. Great stuff. You get the pre-order, you get Muhammad Ali Prime, hopefully, Mike Tyson, awesome, and then Fedor, the last Emperor Emelianenko. Great stuff. So yeah, I'm amped. I gotta buy a PlayStation 5, and I do plan on buying a PlayStation 5 to get this game in future UFCs, because right now I think I'm gonna probably sell my PlayStation 4. I just have it laying around here. Again, I'm hoping that they kind of implement the corrections that a lot of people in the community want and have been asking for such a long time, because they have a loyal fan base. UFC fans will play any game you put out. It's kind of the same thing with Madden fans, kind of the same thing with FIFA fans. Any sport, man, you want to have those loyal fans, and when you do have those loyal fans, you want to treat them well, right? You don't want to just put out the same product every year. And I will say, UFC, for all the grief that we give them, the UFC games, I will say, from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, there have been constant improvements. Now, 3 to 4 is kind of, I'd say, not as big a overhaul as UFC 1 to 2 was, but I'm hoping that, especially now on next gen, which is going to be big, and probably with an updated Frostbite engine, they can make that next jump to really having a lot more grace and fluidity in their game. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. It has been your boy, the combat consultant, the soundboard guy, Jacob Cooperman. I'll see you guys in the next one. Deuces.